and sort of consolidating copyright to try and get films out on a global level, because it does feel absurd at the moment to say, right, we can reach everybody, we just can't in a sense because of copyright issues and because of...
But also, I mean, we're dissecting the territories because that's, you know, that we're trying to parcel up the territories. So in a way, I don't want to get loads of people to buy it in Australia right now, because what I'm hoping is I'm going to find a partner in Australia who's going to know more about that local market than I do, and is going to be able to exploit it in the best possible way, because I don't know the Australian broadcasters. I mean, I could phone them up, I could ask them to go and see it when it's on in Sydney and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, I won't necessarily be there. And I think that you know, at the end of the day, you have to really be like a, you know, dog after a bone.
Well, so what you're, if I've understood you correctly, what you're talking about is using the internet as a more effective means of getting your films into cinemas for people to sit down and watch, as opposed to using the internet to actually enable people to watch your films directly.
Oh, no,
no, we are saying...
No. Sorry, that we're not. I mean, theatre's great. I think that it's not good. Theatre's not going to die away. We're not going to see the end of the cinema, I think, and I hope, of course, that we're not, because I think they're great. But I think at the moment there's just not enough capability online to get people to watch. There's not an existing model there. But as a distribution company, we would love to go. The more people that can watch our films, the better. Wherever they are, that's fantastic for us, because we want to see that. But at the moment, we can't offer films online because it impacts on the exhibitors. We can't offer IPTV at the same time we offer DVD, because then the DVD retailers go, whoa, what you doing? You can't offer it here for free on like Juiced and on Babel, because that's going to impact on the DVD. So
not necessarily viewing for free, but to download.
Oh, yeah, no.
Pay for the download. But the thing is what you're saying is that windowing still operates in these very traditional industries. And I think the big thing that is going to change is that windowing is going to go, because what they don't seem to understand is people will go and watch it in the cinema, even if it's been on the telly, even if they've, you know, somebody said I've got it on DVD. I mean, people are watching things in all sorts of different ways. And I think that that's what, in a way, the industry hasn't quite caught up with yet.
I'd love to motivate people back into cinemas, and it's like going back to Gore Monsters. What they did was, well, I can't remember the name of this company, but one of the guys that was at Power to the Pixel.
It might be, I've just put emerging pictures up there.
Was it emerging pictures? That he was saying that...
if you look on the left, they've got the Emerging Cinemas Network, and so they're, I think...
That's the one, and he was saying about having much more event-led theatrical releases, because for me, as I do a lot of the marketing and press for releases, and for me, trying to get a film profiled on a lot of mainstream websites, such as, say, The Guardian or Film Forward, the BBC, is that if it's theatrical, great, thumbs up, you get a lot more recognition. If it's DVD, if it's anything but that, they're not really that bothered, because it doesn't float their boat much. And so I'd really love to get people to think, but in the same sense, we want as many people as possible to watch our products and to watch the films and to watch the films that we're distributing. And event-led sort of distribution theatrically, I think, could be a way forward with, as you were saying about community theatres, getting people in to talk, making, as I remember the line it said was, making the extras for your theatrical releases better than you can get on the DVD. And that's so true, is that that's what we want to do, but also the online side of it works as a tool to motivate people into that. But
they also, they found this thing in New York that, you know how Q&A is, you normally only have at a festival because you can afford once a year to bring a director over to talk about it. And afterwards they put a big Skype screen up, and all the cinemas have the Skype interview with an actor or a director, so everybody kind of gets a digital Q&A at the end of the film.
That's something that we found, because we've been going to all these little independent cinemas just to try and get people to see it. And we offer, you know, that one of us will go and do a Q&A. And it's incredible, the response. You know, people want to sit together and then they want to discuss something. You know, and this is, because in fact, if you go to the Odeon around the corner, you're not going to sit down afterwards and discuss it and be able to engage with the people that made it and ask all sorts of questions. So I mean, I think there is definitely a forum that people do want to get together and watch these things, but they're also happy to watch it on DVD or on the internet or wherever.
Any other questions from the floor?
You said about advertising your film. I mean, how ahead did you actually advertise your film?
How did we?
You know, I mean, before the film came out. How much?
Well, because we were doing it on VOD and we tried to make a thing out of it. We had a PR agency, and they contacted you know, everybody, all the usual suspects, and because it wasn't a theatric, Nobody was really that interested in it, although we've got Simon Callow in it, and he said he'd do interviews, and then he suddenly was filming somewhere, so he couldn't do any interviews, so that was an avenue closed to us. And the other guy in it, who's Piers Brosnan's son, he was going to do interviews for it, and then suddenly he went off filming in Namibia, so he wasn't available to do anything. But we did get some press coverage because we were doing the VOD, and also we had Dawn Steele in it. So she got tons in Scotland, so in Scotland I think everybody knows about it. So we had a PR agency, and we put ads in online websites and stuff like that. So, I mean, we spent about £10,000 on advertising to launch the VOD and the DVD, and that, you know, that's our budget, and you know, it's nothing.
But I mean, how far ahead before the film actually came out?
Well, I mean, you try and get it in the week of, basically.
A week.
The week of or the day of. I mean, that's ideal.
No,
because,
I mean, in America, you know, when it puts out. It advertises at least 6 months to 12 months before the film comes out in a cinema.
Well, that's big. You're talking about big
yeah.
studio. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're trailing.
Yeah.
We can't
but I mean,
afford
that's
to do
the
that.
only way you're going to get to word of mouth, aren't you?
Well, I think word of mouth can be one of two things. It can either be because you just splash it everywhere and everybody's talking about it, or it can be because there's something about it which captures people's imagination, and that's very rare. You know, the point is that most films don't have anything like that. So that's why I say that you need to get, you know, try all sorts of different methods, get your constituency, get people engaged and all that kind of stuff, so that you get a sort of a small word of mouth, as it were. Because that's what...
But I mean, why don't you make virals and things like that beforehand?
Well, I mean, we did think about it, but I mean, again...
They don't cost much money to make.
Well, somebody has to think about how to do it and how it's going to work, and then they have to get it out there. And we did think about doing a viral, and then basically we all sort of thought, yeah, but I mean, why would anybody... You know, we're not experts in this. And in fact, we had Nokia, who basically were going to do this whole viral thing because their phones were in the film, and then, I don't know, their marketing budget was slashed and nobody could be bothered. And, you know, the thing is that you need expertise in these things. You know, this is... So all this stuff is great about self-distribution, and I'd say everybody absolutely do it if you want to. But for most of us, the fact is we don't have a great deal of knowledge about it.
But you said that if you don't have knowledge, earlier on you sort of said if you don't have knowledge or resources, make sure you put £10,000 to one side.
And
isn't that something that, as a producer, you should be putting to one side?
I did. I have got a certain amount, but I have to decide where I think the best use of that limited money is. You know, and so I decided that, you know, a viral marketing thing wasn't something that I thought personally would yield results. I mean, I'm probably wrong, but that's what I decided.
Can I just get Andrew's comment on it?
The point gentleman makes is right, though, of course, in the sense that you know that you're talking to different kinds of people now. The people who are going to get your content out there are new media agencies. These are the kind of glorified web design companies who now also do marketing, online marketing campaigns, and they're very good at it, and mobile campaigns. Now, those are the kind, and they're not associated with the film industry. They come from a sort of very different background. They probably know very little about the film industry, but what they know is how to get content and campaigns noticed to an online audience across the globe. So they're the kind of... I've got a client at the moment who's doing a huge internet project. It's a huge internet project, and he just came to me and said, well, but it's the internet. Can't we just put it online and everybody around the world will see it? I said, no. You know, you've got to target that. You've got to go to high net worth individuals. And how are you going to do that? Which websites? It's not MySpace, that's kids. Got to go through particular social networking websites. So the agencies that I talk about know how to do that. They know how to target content in each jurisdiction, and they're the people that you probably talk to. So you kind of go away from the from what you know already, and you go into a world of these other agencies like that because they know how to use online media.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, and that's what I think. What this seminar is really should be all about. Is looking at ways of maximising promotion of films on the internet in that way, not ways of getting more necessarily just creating a website or and getting a bit of a buzz around your website. But it's not that expensive to do it. But there is expertise out there. You obviously have it. I know someone who has that expertise. And if you want to spend £10,000 and get your money's worth, they're the kind of people you should be paying, I think.
Yeah, but it's absolutely right, and you're right, of course, about the internet. I mean, it's death of geography. I mean, you know, and I think people still do see it in silos. You know, they still think of it. But I often for very good reasons. I mean, as Lady said, I mean, there are legal constraints. We've got another client wants to do something over the internet, and it involves financial services. rather dull, but I mean it does. And you know, we can do it in this country, but the fact is, different countries have different financial services regimes, and you can't just make something available to somebody around the world, because we'd have to understand what, if you target the United States and we don't know what you'd have to then get advice as to what their